Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently doing our Apollo 12 moon landing here. And the question is, where do we want to land? Well, once again, I want to land on the day side. That just generally works better for visibility. And we can see that we previously landed in this crater. Maybe we want to land just in like Midlands, somewhere up over here, right? So that would end up being perhaps something along the lines of this, and this maneuver is mostly only being used for timing here, but something along the lines of that. Let's see what that ends up looking like. Let's get into position for this. We'll need to be in stability assist, of course. Slight overshoot there, but it's under control. Beautiful. Let's warp on forward, and we'll see where this is. Okay, this isn't too bad, all things considered. In terms of movement, yeah, this is looking reasonable. Oh, we did not have an EVA report over this crater. I'm going to do another orbit then. So we're going to warp around to here. I wouldn't mind landing in Midlands, though. Midlands would be a decent place to just scratch off of the list. We don't need to be tracking all of this debris since we know what crater that's in. But we do want to grab the EVA report over this crater over here. So that is definitely the goal here. Okay. That's 24 science we just can't pass up, right? So there's our time warp complete. We are not quite over the crater yet. We can warp a little further here. There we go. So we're going to have Doni EVA, and we're going to grab that EVA report. Beautiful. That is likely the only EVA report that we're going to be getting in this orbit. So we're going to warp past the crater here. We're going to go to surface retrograde, and we're just going to start our landing process without a maneuver. We don't actually require one. So let's bring this on down here. We can also extend our landing legs. That's fine. Cool. And with this extra fuel here, that should hopefully give us enough fuel here to actually land on without having to dip into these fuel stores. We'll see if it ends up happening. Hopefully. The extra fuel will definitely give us just that little bit more oomph and will make this a little bit more comfortable. We have a little more margin this way. So that'll be good. For the time being, I'm going to go into stability assist. We want to just kill our horizontal speed. Our vertical speed we don't really care about at this moment, but we can see our impact biome is currently in Midlands, so that's absolutely fine. We're just going to continue to bring this right on down, and we can see we are burning down our suicide burn DV here, so that's absolutely great. We've got lots of Delta V left here, but we are burning off a significant chunk of our landing fuel here. If we need to dip into this, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. We're going to move this over for now, and we'll move it back after we're up. So that'll be good. We're currently at about 70 meters per second horizontally. 50. Okay. I'm going to stop that for now. We don't need to be transmitting this anymore. We're going to hop over to retrograde mode. And at this point, we're just going to come down. This angle looks good, actually. We're going to be kind of in between these two craters. No, that looks fine. I like it. So we can see we've got about 35 seconds here until we commence our landing burn. That seems okay. 30 seconds now. Cool. So we're just gently falling down here. I say gently. 120 meters per second right now. 15 seconds until the landing burn. But we're going to make it be probably a little early. I usually like to add a little more margin in there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, going now. Beautiful. So let's decelerate. We'll take this up to like 10 seconds. Like I said, a little bit of bonus margin in there, out of an abundance of caution. Okay, and we'll just let this fall a little further. It's less fuel efficient to do it this way, of course, but that's okay. And burning. Cool. So from here, we're probably low enough. Yeah, we're definitely low enough that we can just kind of manually do this. But for the moment, we're just going to let us drop down one final time here. 4, 3, 2, burning. Okay. Now we're going to manually drop this off. Okay. We're on a bit of a slope, but I mean, that's pretty normal, to be honest. Okay. Looks decent. We gonna tip? Nope, we're settling. Okay. This leg is not making contact because of the slope here. And we're going to be sliding. But that's relatively fine for the moment. So that's okay. I just realized we never added our inventory parts here. Well, that's also relatively fine. That's relatively fine. Because we can get additional inventory parts for that. It wasn't going to get us much as it was. Just the Guab ED monitor. We're going to get a lot out of this data. So it's not the worst thing that I forgot this, but it is definitely sad. Okay, well, we're going to be sliding, and that does make matters a little simpler for us. What happens if we transfer this fuel back up here to our center of mass? This is probably not good for our center of mass, right? That would be the expected. And I want to see how much excess fuel we had for our landing stage here. The answer is definitely some, so we didn't have to do this transfer. Good to know. So we ended up having about an extra 32 seconds of burn time. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. This leg is definitely holding a little too much weight. I don't think we can, like, spin on this axis, can we? Actually, we kind of can. So what I'd like to do is make it so that we have two legs holding this weight. About like this. That's much better. We're no longer sliding now. And all four legs have made contact. So that's much better on that front. We're going to grab our crew report, we're going to grab our temperature scan, we're going to grab our atmospheric pressure scan, mystery goo observation, and materials studies. Phenomenal. So yeah, forgetting this is unfortunate. It's not the end of the world. We'll get lots of good science out of this regardless. We're going to EVA, grab our EVA report, grab our surface sample, and we'll hop back in. And now we're going to EVA again, grab our surface sample, and we're going to collect the data. Wait. Hang on a moment. That data should be up here. So we'll collect all of that data. We'll restore our mystery goo containment unit. And then we'll observe it again. Keep that experiment, collect, restore, and observe it one final time. There we go. And now we're going to head on over to the Science Junior. Excellent. And we're going to restore this and do the same exact thing. So we'll conduct the material study here. Keep that experiment, collect that data, restore, and we'll run it one more time, just so that we have all of the data we can from here. And this is virtually all of the data from the Midlands, but it is not all of the data. Okay, so we can close those doors, and we can hop on over this way. Our science is now complete here. So we can hop right on back in, or, you know, just faceplant directly into it. That works too. There we go. And we can board. And that is all of the data that we can actually store here. We don't have anywhere to store a mystery goo observation, a material study, or an additional surface sample. So that is all we can do. For now, I'm going to have Corvi EVA just for the experience. And down you go, Corvi. Excellent. Corvi can also collect a surface sample, but that's not going to do anything, I'm afraid. So Corby has now gotten the XP and can now return on home. So that's basically all we're going to do here. I was planning on setting up our remote science, but completely forgot to fill the cargo storage unit. Yeah, these can't actually be stored here, which is expected. I can't believe I forgot to store store those in the storage unit. That's awkward. So we're still going to have the offset thrust issue here, and we're going to have to compensate for that. The Radial Science Junior is quite heavy, and it is angled in a weird direction, right? So we'll have to compensate for that. That's okay. We're going to shut down this engine, and all we need to do now is throttle up and then activate this engine. So we're going to be going on the 90-degree angle here, which we're close to already. So we throttle up, and the moment we hit space, we are going to be out of here. We can't actually close those doors, but that's fine. Okay, so we're just going to target a relatively low orbit this time, and then we're going to do a more traditional intercept with the Apollo 12. So up we go, I think. We're ready to leave this area already. It always feels weird. Well, it feels especially weird because I really feel like we should be deploying surface science, and we should be. That is absolutely the truth, but I'm dumb. So off we go instead. Oh, this thing does not like to hold attitude. Okay. Cool. So we're just going to position about here. This thing really doesn't like to hold attitude. And we're just going to push our apoapsis height up to about... Actually, can we lock to prograde? Can Corby hold it there? Yeah, that'll work. We're not quite on the prograde marker. We would have to do, like, some corrective burns out over this way. But it's manageable. So we're going to push this up to about... Actually, what if we were to spin this so that our offset thrust is now up here? That might be better for us. We're going to push this up to about an apoapsis height of 15 kilometers. This will do. And then we're going to circularize over here. That is not exactly circular, but out of curiosity, how's our timing? It's probably terrible. Oh yeah, that's definitely turbo terrible. That's fine. So we're going to circularize this, making sure that we are in a proper but low orbit. That's very sensitive to actually circularize. Okay. Wow, that's very sensitive to circularize it. Well, it doesn't like to do that, but there we go. That'll work. Phenomenal. Okay, let's position ourselves about... Ooh, hello. Let's position ourselves about here. There we go. And we've got about 4 minutes on this burn. So let's warp on forward. And about 1 minute now. It is going to be a little bit hard to hold this attitude, as we know. 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 10, 9... I came out of that a little early, to be honest. 10 seconds is a long countdown. Now I've overshot it, but it's okay. Okay. Working on holding attitude there. This'll do. And now we can see that we're 1.4 degrees off on inclination. We could certainly do an inclination change here, and that would end up being something along the lines of this. We're going to have to do another orbit anyway, almost certainly, so that would be reasonably fine. Or will we? I don't know. We'll see. We might not have to, actually. It kind of depends on timings. So over we go. We're going to get this 13.8 meter per second dealt with. At this point, I'm going to thrust limit this down to, like, it's a 1 second burn. I'm going to thrust it, limit it down to 0.5%. No, that's too much. Down to like 10% thrust. Yeah, that's better. So the reason I'm doing that is to negate the thrust offset issue. Basically what that does is it makes our reaction wheel stronger and our gimbaling remains about the same. But our thrust being offset to our mass is less impactful. So it should be easier to hold attitude with that thrust limiter in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Oh yeah, this is way easier to hold attitude. Phenomenal. It's definitely a little slower to burn, no doubt about that. But that should be good. 0.0. Excellent. Now we're going to look for an encounter here. That's obviously not an encounter. So it'll have to be next orbit. Got it. Add an orbit. Let's just do it over here. So graphical maneuver editor, add an orbit. It's easier than clicking it here on a 4K display. And I don't actually want to have all of that normal. I want to change the timing of the burn. So it will end up being about here. 0.4 kilometers is really, really close. 0.0 kilometers. Okay. Well, we're probably not going to hit it quite that precisely, but let's get into position here. It'll be about 43 minutes, so we need to do a phasing orbit here. And there we go. And we're going to commence this burn in about 50 seconds. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Going to be a little bit of a longer burn because of our lower thrust to weight. And we can see just how much more fuel we have. We did a couple of things differently. We added in that additional small fuel tank into the lander, and that alone was a lot of this. A whole lot of it. But also, our landing was, I think, a little more efficient, and this intercept is actually a lot more efficient, because we're not trying to optimize for getting there as quickly as possible. We're trying to optimize for getting as close as possible. So this is a lot better of an intercept, efficiency-wise. We overshot this ever so slightly. I'm not concerned about that. I don't actually want to impact the vehicle, so this will be okay. We're going to warp to about here. We're going to hop into target mode. And where is the command module? There it is. Currently about 40 kilometers out. And about 20. Okay. So we're actually pretty on the money here, really. Fascinating. So we need to do a very, very tiny corrective burn out over here. About like that. Now we're going to flip around to retrograde. Oh, overshot. Okay. Now we're going to flip around to retrograde. We are currently at 0.5 kilometers apart. That's fine. We're going to warp a little bit forward. And we'll almost certainly need to do a corrective burn here. Yeah, we do. No shockers there. And this will also start us slowing on down. Cool. So just doing a small correction here. There we go. And let's just go pure retrograde at this point. And let's slow this down a little further. We're low thrust to weight here because of our thrust limiting, but this is fine. So bring this down to about 30 meters per second, and then we can warp in a little bit closer here. Okay. We're definitely still off here. So let's bring this on up and continue to do a corrective burn. Cool. And let's continue to slow this on down. We're only about 400 meters apart right now. Okay. Now we're only about 9.3 meters per second away from matching speeds. Look at how much more delta V we have. It's insane. Those two small changes, they really add up. So that's great. We've got so much delta V in this thing. No concerns whatsoever there. But we have so much fuel in this as well. This vehicle is very capable of going places other than the moon. Minmus, for example. Definitely capable of going to Minmus. No doubt about that. Of course, really, any moonlander, in my opinion, is also capable of landing on Minmus. So there is that. Okay, we're going to continue to slow down a bit here. We're coming in on basically a collision course. So we're just going to need to kill our relative speed here pretty soon. Just down to 0. And we'll do it now. There we go. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to jettison this. There's a lot of fuel still in that, 2,000 delta V worth, but we're going to decouple that. We do not need it. And we are now going to rotate over towards this guy. We'll have to line up. So we'll set as target. And we'll just line up over this way. Any moment now. Reaction wheels are so overpowered in KSP. There's no doubt about that. Do we have trim? Hang on a moment. No. Wait. What's going on here? Oh, we do have trim. Okay. Let's get rid of this trim. We don't appear to be able to. SAS on, please. That's exciting. So, Billtop is a pilot, but that shouldn't actually matter. Okay. Working on reducing the trim here. It's not actually responding to me. Oh, we can't do it in that mode. Okay, I gotcha. We have to be in this mode. Okay. Let's get that trim out of here. This is the same problem as before. I was clearly trying to steer while having the physics warp going on. So we'll get this under control. This is not an issue. We'll just get lined up here. Actually, you know what? Let's just freeze the physics. It's already under control. It's just a matter of time. So we're going to get lined up over this way. We need to get docked together. There we go. And we'll get rotated on around, setting this guy as our target. There we go. We'll align once more here. It shouldn't require much alignment. There we go. And we're going to head on in here. Just making slight RCS adjustments. 0.2 meters per second, and that's very sensitive to do those RCS adjustments. Okay. Well, that looks reasonable for now. Our trajectory looks pretty decent. We might have to make a couple more RCS corrections to fix our trajectory, but for now, looks okay. Let's take it up to 0.5. And bring this right on in. As soon as we get a little closer, we'll reduce speed. There we go. 0.4, 0.3, 0.1. That is so sensitive. Okay. Docking forces should take over here very shortly, though. Just very slight adjustments here and there with our RCS. And there we go. Docking. Fantastic. So now, of course, we're going to grab our data here. And we are going to collect all. We're going to collect all. And we're going to collect all. So we have 9, 2, and 3 data. Then we're going to transfer our crew on over. 1 and 2. So that should be all data grabbed. Let's just verify that quick. 0 experiments. This is locked with nothing stored in it. And this is, I think, in the same state. So that'll be fine. We are now done here. That is this stage done. And we're going to decouple this. So we're going to undock. We'll leave this guy in orbit. And we are going to head on over towards prograde. What's our timing like here? Not great is the answer. So we need to do a prograde maneuver over here to return home. We'll bring this on down to about 40 kilometers. We'll do a radial retrograde and dial that in once we arrive. So we'll get into position for this. Stability assist, please. Thank you very much. And there we go. Goodbye. And we are about ready for this burn. 50 seconds on that. 40, 30, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. We did not activate this engine. Okay, let's activate the engine, and we'll physics warp this burn. Cool. So, of course, we have more than enough Delta V to bring this on home. No problem whatsoever here. 3, 2, 1, 0. This'll do. We can fine-tune our re-entry once we're about here. So we'll do a radial retrograde burn, bringing this on down. And we'll just keep an eye on this. I want this to be about a 10-kilometer periapsis. We should probably move this to be about here and do a little bit more retrograde and have it be something about like that. So a relatively... Oh, that's actually a really, really good apoapsis height. This is maybe within the atmosphere. We'll see. But that should be a relatively aggressive re-entry. And that's only a 956 meter per second burn, too. That's not bad. Okay, let's go. Let's bring these guys on home. Billtop, Corvi, and Donny. So in we come. It is definitely a shame that I forgot to include the deployed science, but we'll definitely add that into Apollo 13, which is not ill-fated and unlucky at all. I can assure you. So we're going to start this burn in 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. Okay. We'll physics warp here. And let's slow this right on down. Phenomenal. So I think we are going to have some part of this burn in the upper atmosphere. Yes, that's definitely going to happen. About the second half of the burn. Okay. That's reasonably fine. This is now claiming that this burn time is going to be longer than the fuel we have, which probably is not true. We're still going to continue this burn for the moment. We need to get a good amount of this speed reduced, right? I'm not expecting that we actually have issues with our fuel here. It'll be fine. The game is calculating this wrong, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, so let's get aligned a little bit better here. There we go. And we're just taking this to a periapsis height of 10 at this point. There we go. So that'll do. Now we're going to jettison this remaining fuel. There's not a lot of it. But we're just going to come on down on our heat shield. Beautiful. Are we looking at a water landing? Probably, actually. Cool. I like it. Water landings are ideal here. So downward we come, still moving at just about orbital velocity here. Not quite. But we're going to start slowing down quite aggressively here. As I said, this is a somewhat aggressive landing. We're running a little late on this episode, so we could definitely do that. And the reason for that is because we were running late on last episode, which required us delaying the landing to this episode. But that's fine. No issues whatsoever here. We are absolutely fine. We're drifting off of our surface node in physics warp. We can definitely bring this on down. Our current landing zone is in shores. Yeah, this is definitely going to be a water landing. It's between here and the land. So that'll be fine. We're almost going slow enough at this point for our drogues. There's our drogues. SAS can go off, and mains are out. And downward we go. So that is Apollo 12 finished. While we're waiting on this to come down, we can certainly get our payment for this. Apollo 12 is completely safe at this point. So we'll bring that right on up. There we go. And let me mark that off on our list. That is done. So Apollo 13 is not going to have any issues whatsoever. I can assure you of this. There's not going to be any problems. Apollo 13 was not at all unlucky. I don't know what you're talking about. That'll be interesting. It was deemed a successful failure, though. We're going to have to do, I think, some re-engineering of the lunar module in space. I have no idea how re-entry of that thing is going to go. Did they actually do re-entry in the lunar module? I'll have to look that up. For now, though, we're going to splash on down here. And we'll see what that ends up looking like. But that's a next episode sort of thing. So there's our splashdown. We'll recover our vessel. And that's going to be another, like, 450 science, I believe. A comparable amount of science to our previous flight. That'll be very impactful for us. But next episode is when we're going to decide how exactly we want to allocate that science. Well, as I said, Apollo 13 is going to be spicy, but we'll get there. We'll get there. How much science do we get? 500 from this one. I like it. Very solid. Again, we'll have to get that allocated next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.